we go to the next speaker, Karin, and Dr. Nevedita. She's an eye surgeon. She will be moderating the whole talk. I would like to introduce Karin before in my way. Karin is somebody who I met in Prague. She and I have a history with each other, which goes back 11 years and beyond. She's somebody who I remembered always. Her birthday is on the last day of the year. And she always is someone who I remember on that day and say, oh, it's her birthday. I may have not always sent her a message, but she's always been there in my heart. And the reason she's been there in my heart is because about 11 years back, when I regained my memory of my sexual abuse that had happened by a man who was old enough to be my grandfather. And when I called up my mom after regaining the memory, and I said, I want to tell my husband everything. She at that point said, don't tell him anything. He'll throw you out of the house. I was so mad with my mom for saying that. To be really honest, if she was in front of me, I could have killed her on that day. Because it takes a lot. It took a lot out of me to even give her a call from east of Europe, that's Prague, to my mom in India and say, you know what? I remembered this had happened to me and it was happening in front of you, and mom, you didn't do anything about it. This was the time when I spoke to Karin. And Karin said, go tell Vikram everything. I don't know how I mustered that strength, and I went and told Vikram everything. And Vikram supported me completely on this. He was there by my side. He didn't throw me out. I'm still in that house. Not in that house, but I'm still in the house. And I'm extremely grateful. The other turning point in my life, when we were moving back to India from Czech Republic, I had a choice to stay back in Czech Republic and be with my kids or come back. This was again the second time that I was talking to Karin, and she said to me, you know what? It's a good idea to be with your kids, but you know what? Partners should stay together. Don't you think so? Marriage becomes weak otherwise. And something about the conviction with which she speaks, something about the way she says, she makes it so easy. It stayed with me. And yesterday when I was speaking with her, she said something even more beautiful. She said, you just have to believe that I believe that you can do it. And her words, that I believe that you can do it, brought a glow on my face. And I told myself, yes, I can do it. Sometimes you need that friend, you need that person who can just look straight into your eyes and tell you, you know what? You can do it. Thank you so much, Karin, for being that friend. I'm so grateful that you're going to be on this show today, and so grateful that you're connecting with India. Thank you. Over to you, Karin. And a request to everyone, if you can keep your mics muted, but if you can keep your windows open, because Karin likes to see people and likes to see reactions. So if you can, all of you keep your windows open. That means if I can see you, your videos on and your audios muted. I request each one of you to please keep your videos on and take off keep your videos on and keep your audio muted. Thank you so much. Over to Karin and Nev.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you, Anu. I'm very touched and very humbled by your very warm introduction. And I don't know about you people in the audience, but we rarely know how people see us. And I have very little recollection of what I usually say. I know what people tell me. I don't know what I tell them. And I know even less the impact I have with my words. And before I start, I want to say to Bhavana, is that how you say your name?
Yeah, Bhavna.
Bhavna, that I feel also honored to follow you, because actually Anu said we met 11 years ago. When you mentioned your daughter that's now 13, I remember when she was so happy and so proud getting a little niece. So I'm guessing it's easily 13 years ago.
Yes.
And when you say age is not a barrier, well, I'm sorry, I want to laugh because you're very young.
Yeah, well,
so just to put in the pictures, yes, it's an honor, as you all heard. I met Anu in Czech Republic, but I actually like to call myself a European citizen with a French passport who has been living in Prague for the past 25 years. And prior to that, I was born, if you believe it or not, on a French island on the other side of the ocean compared to the French, which is New Caledonia, which is between Tahiti, New Zealand, and Australia. I grew up in Paris, spent 8 years in New York City. So I like to call myself, I don't know if it's a world citizen, but someone who's definitely open to adventure and culture. Having said that, when Anu said, can you speak to my group, I'm thinking, what, honestly, and please no offense, a lot of wonderful Indian lady would like to know from a French lady, because, you know, it's a whole different world. It's a whole different situation. So she said, sure, go ahead. And then I talked to Neve. You say Neve? Neve, yeah. Right?
Yes.
And then we had a nice chat. So the way, and also the topic seems to be intense. After we saw the beautiful painting of Bhavna, I'm thinking, there is no way we can have this intense discussion on lockdown after we see this explosion of life and joy. Can we keep it lively and joyful? So I'm going to shift a little bit the theme and try to make it a bit more upbeat than what I discussed with Neve in Buffet, because talking about lockdown and the problem of lockdown is a bit depressing, I think. Having said that, I do believe that, you know, what we've been going through for the past 3 months, in many ways has been a blessing, because it gave us a chance to know that the world can stop and there's not that much of a panic yet. You know, yes, actually, when I was reading, my mother was born in 1930, okay? So she was born before the Second World War. And I grew up with the history of the First World War, the Second World War, my grandparents, my parents. And as somebody was mentioning in one of the chats, okay, the COVID is horrible, but at least officially at the moment, there was no destruction, there was no bombing, there was no catastrophe, physical, you know, on the countries so far. So it's a chance for self-reflection and introspection. And what we were discussing with Neve is that maybe it's also a chance at the moment, after 3 months, to kind of take stock. What did you all go through during this time? And in some ways, I understand that in India, the lockdown is a lot tougher than what I have in the Czech Republic. You know, if you shift the metaphor from the physical lockdown to the emotional lockdown, what is the parallel and what are the kind of learning or experience we all went through? And the idea will be to share everybody's experience. My only recommendation will be keep it light. Some discussion, I know most of you like to share your issues. It would be nice to keep it to some kind of topic we can all discuss and benefit from each other. So now I want to kind of pass on the microphone to Dr. Nivdita Patil to make it very official.
Thank you, Karin. It's a pleasure to have you with us. Karin comes from a completely different culture, a completely different ethos. And initially when we spoke, you know, it was like we belong to two different cultures. Like she is going to be speaking to people with a complete different ethos. But yes, we are culturally different. We have a different ethos. But I think in this current situation, which is global, which is a pandemic, and we're all going through the same crisis, I'm sure that we all do share something in common. And let's discover that as we talk to you, Karin, that are there any differences? Are there any similarities between what you have been experiencing on that continent versus what we have been experiencing here? So yes, when we said, life during lockdown and, like you said, metaphorically, a physical lockdown has also caused a lot of mental lockdown. And how is the experiences been? How these have been challenging times. I would like to, set the ball rolling by maybe like how we said, each one's experience through this lockdown. What has it been and how have they dealt with? And maybe you can, because of your wisdom, your 39 years of professional, being a professional coach and executive coach and having really spoken at so many various forums across the globe, have some insights, share some insights with us as to how we could probably make things better than what we have been doing. So maybe I'll set the ball rolling for everybody here in the audience. I will request everyone to put any questions, whatever your challenges are, in the chat box. I will have a look at it and I will put it across to Karin. That's how we will go from here. Is that fine with you, Karin?
I think it's perfect because then I don't have to look at the chat, read, and then look back. So
Okay.
I can stay connected to people and you can just say, Karin, this is the question.
Absolutely. So like I said, like times have been harrowing and let us go and find our trajectory during this entire lockdown. What has been our individual trajectory of our mindset, our attitudes through this time, and what has our thought process been? So I would share with you, Karin, I being a doctor, I being a surgeon myself, I've been pretty busy all through March, during this lockdown, trying to help the frontliners. I've been extremely busy doing things for other people. So when I was contemplating and I was reflecting back on this lockdown period, I was somewhere feeling that I did not do justice to my own self during this entire period. Like I always am there for others, but maybe I was really not there for myself. I could have utilized this lockdown period for my own personal growth or pursuing what I really been wanting to do. Trust me, I'm a voracious reader, but during this time of whatever days, like 70 days, I've not touched a single book, which otherwise I managed to read so many when I'm in my routine. So I would like to know from you, what is it that I could have done differently and not feel the way I do feel today, that, I have not been fair to myself?
Well, thank you for sharing. And what I do believe is, and I don't know if this is typical me or typical you, Nave, but we have a tendency as women, I don't know, do we have any men in the audience before I'm going to just assume everybody is a woman and ignore the poor guys who are joining? Any men? Guys, if there is a man in the audience, just raise your hand. No man. Okay, so then if there is no man, I will not offend anybody. As women, and I think this is across the world, we have a tendency to ask a lot from ourselves and beat up ourselves when we don't do everything perfectly. So I will just tell you, and this is true for everybody, whatever you've been doing so far is exactly what you are meant to do. Nothing right and wrong. Everybody, I believe, was on a kind of adjusting mode. Some people had to adjust more than the other. Czech Republic, if you just know a little bit about how the coronavirus affected things, we were so lucky for various reasons. First, we shut down everything, the borders, on the 13th of March, which for me was a shock. I was supposed to go to a friend's party or 50th birthday party a week later. And I will kind of spare all the political stories. We were supposed to be locked down for 2 years. I'm thinking, yeah. That's the benefit of being older. When the politician says something nuts, you just wait. You don't freak out. Oh my God, I'm going to be locked down for 2 years. Then it was locked down for 1 year, and a friend of mine's daughter was in England. She panicked. So we had really very little people contaminated and very little people that passed away. That had a very strict rules. And for some people, it was harder than for others. People that are used to go out and meet people really felt a bit kind of in that sense, locked down. I could still go outside and I could still kind of do what I had to do. I have a car, so except for not going out to a restaurant and be able to get something else than my own food. I know I missed yours because trust me, after I kind of make my own soup and my own salad every day, it's like, can I eat something else? So I think for a lot of ladies, the biggest challenge, and that's across the board, was to keep up all the roles that women do at home. I'm assuming that if you are in a relationship, you have a partner, a husband, raise your hand. And you have a few kids, raise your hand. And some of you have parents, raise your hand. And I believe you take care of all of them on a regular basis, and that was multiplied by 10. And that's understated, right?
Yeah.
So me, I don't know, when you multiply your regular activity by 10, you can pick up a book. So whatever you've done, it was called an emergency. The house is on fire. You don't look at, can I read a book, please? You just, save the furniture if you can, or the cat or the people. So I think the first thing is to really acknowledge that you guys, whatever you've done your best. And this is when you congratulate yourself and you said, very well done.
Absolutely.
Now, having said this, because we still kind of think we should do better, and I think Bhavana was mentioning about acknowledging something. Yeah, no, was something else. About now that you have a bit more time, hopefully, or you take the time, it's good to say, okay, what did I do that made me happy? And what did I do that I really didn't like?
Okay.
And then this is where I'm a bit different than a lot of people, men and women, at some point, and I'm just going to make a case study, okay? Just so, which is called full disclosure. At this point of my life, there is no man in my life, and there is no, my parents are both gone. I have brothers and everybody's alive and healthy, so I just have to take care of me for a change. So I totally understand being responsible, in my case, for brothers, sisters, father, blah, blah, blah. When my father passed 5 years ago, I said, finally, I can stop being responsible for somebody else but me. Okay?
Yes.
Part of that responsibility was my choice. So I think the first step is to start to acknowledge who is asking me to be responsible for fathers, mothers, mother-in-law, father-in-law. This is depending on how old you are. When you still have your parents on each side, usually you're a bit younger than, when you reach a certain age. And then, so it's like your kids. Now, because, and again, full disclosure, my mother passed away when I was 11. My father took care of us for many years. Trust me, the pampering didn't exist. You're not dying, you go to school. And don't expect me to, he taught me how to iron my shirt. So you'd never go out of the house without a shirt being ironed. He told me how to clean my shoes, but I was on my own. So I never expected anybody to cook and to clean for me from the age of 11. I know a lot of mothers want to be perfect. So I don't know about you, and I'm not saying, but how many of your kids know how to do their bed? Raise your hand if your kids know how to do their bed. How many of your kids do their beds every day? Now, I'm going to tell you a small story. You all know about Mr. and Mrs. Barack Obama.
Yes.
You know that they moved to a pretty big house with the full staff to take care of everything?
Yes.
And do you know that one of the expectations for the staff was to never make the girls' bed?
Oh, wow.
Now, Michelle said, you do my bed. At least she felt that their thing, but she taught them to take care of their own stuff. So if Michelle and Barack can teach their daughters to make their bed in the White House that has a full staff, regardless of the COVID or not COVID, this is where I will say this is cultural. Start by teaching your kids to make their bed.
Yes.
Start by asking your kids to make their bed. I mean, they have to be old enough to do it, okay? The 5, 6 years old, maybe not, but by 10 years old, they can make their own bed. So I can go to the whole list like this. I think part of it is acknowledging that we take on a lot more than what anybody is asking us to do.
Right. Agreed. And that's been me.
I'm just observing. There's another thing. you talked about my coaching. One of the things I'm also been developing for the last 4 years is using horses to help people understand who they are.
Right.
And it's easier to ask people. So you go to a field when there are horses and you ask people to observe. So just picture yourself a nice field with beautiful horses in this case.
Okay.
What do you see?
I see a very loyal animal, okay, who is really strong and always ready for people around to, like, you know, to carry them and to do things for them, and, you know, like will never kind of disrespect or laze and say, be stubborn kinds. Like, no, that's what I see when I see a horse.
Can I kiss you? You just give me a great example of what we all do. What did Neve just did?
Yeah. So metaphorically.
Did metaphorically she portray herself?
That's a very good point. I'm not
To a large extent.
I'm going to describe what I see, okay? I see a field with grass. I see a brown horse, a white horse, and a gray horse. The brown horse is standing. The gray horse is eating, and forget the other one horse is just moving. Observation is just to describe what you see. You know, I looked at Bhavana's painting. I saw a kid with an umbrella. That's what I saw. It's the observation part. What you describe is the interpretation and the judgment.
Right.
And that's exactly what we do. Instead of just observing in a neutral way, we interpret. Now, do I agree with you that horses are everything you describe? Maybe. However, how do you know?
True.
Have you seen a horse? I mean, if you will see the horse kind of, you know, biting each other, will you say, oh, they don't like each other? Or if you see the horse eating, will you say, like everybody of my participants said, they're hungry? I said, well, how many of you eat when you're not hungry?
Many of us.
So this is called interpretation. And that's what I like to, you know, help people understand, is just to learn to observe. So what I'm saying is that the fact that most of you maybe not ask your kids to do their bed, it's an observation. I'm not interpreting. I can say it's traditional, it's cultural, no, I'm just observing that I'm old enough to be a grandmother. Most of my friends and their kids are raising their kids in a way that personally I find a bit spoiled, but that's already an interpretation.
Right. Right. We are somewhere already coming with a preconceived notion of labeling a situation rather than just looking at it.
So you ask me, what can I do? Just observe that. I don't know about you guys, but I have only 24 hours a day.
Yes, we all do.
Okay. And one of the exercises to do also is to write down very honestly everything you do from the moment you wake up.
Okay.
That's something you can all do. And then realize, what is it that you do that make you happy?
Mm-hmm.
And what is it that you have to do? Because I don't know about you, but I have to go to the bathroom once in a while. I have to take a shower. Like, there are things that I have to do. Do I enjoy it? Maybe not, but you know, unless I eat, drink, clean, and put myself together, I don't function. So that's what I called the necessity. And then there is everything else that we do because of, I don't know, we feel responsible, or how many of you do something so you can be nice and people will think you're nice? Only 3 people? Not everybody kind of do things because you want to be nice. Now, nice is also a way to be a bit manipulative. Because if you are nice just because you feel like it, but if you are nice so the person will reciprocate, you're already kind of putting an expectation, and it's a manipulation game.
Right. Very true.
Now, having said this, I'm not saying don't be nice. All I'm saying is that when you don't feel like being nice, don't. Now, here's the trick. How many of you think that being nice is the same thing as being polite?
No, I don't think it's the same thing.
Okay. Because in this country, Czech Republic, nice means being polite. I said, no, no, no. I'm usually always polite, but I'm not always nice. And, you know, I'm not going to show you, but when I'm not nice, a lot of people get a bit kind of, but that's how I get things done. By the way, I'm not very tall, in case you haven't seen. A maximum 160, okay? So it's not like I can, some people stand up, and by the time they stand up, they're like, oh my God, I have to be careful. Me, I have to pretty much stretch my energy so people see me, okay? I'm called the petite package. But I've learned to stretch my energy and say, I put something on my forehead, which I recommend all of you should do. And I know what is written on the forehead.
You tell me.
You know, to be polite, don't mess with me.
Yeah.
But that's the polite version. So when you go around and you put on your forehead, don't you dare mess with me, but you have to mean it. Most of the time, people don't mess with you.
Right.
Okay, good enough. Do you have any question that I could answer? Otherwise, I can go on like that. I didn't know I could talk that much to a group of nice people, but I can. Any question we should look at before I go on?
Yeah, so Karin, we have Amita in the group and also Teji resonating with one of the challenges that she felt during this lockdown was working from home. So working from home was, you know, taking up much more of her time than she would actually give while at work. And in spite of it being so demanding and, you know, in spite of performing and giving all the efforts, in spite of that, it was not felt that the office didn't feel that it was enough. So, you know, so she has not been able to give much time to herself and the family. All the time she has been on the laptop doing the work, and yet it has not been enough. So she wants to know, she's not able to understand how to come out of this.
Sorry, I want to understand. So you're talking about working from home.
Yes, working from home.
So, so I'm sorry. So the chat. So it's Amita, right? Okay. So just Amita.
So Amita has Amita.
Open
Yes.
your mic, Amita. So at least I can get the Amita. Yeah. So what is the exact question? You work from home, and the question is.
Actually, when we started with lockdown, initially doing work from home was easier. I do work as a sales for training, and initially people were like, they can utilize their time for taking up the trainings. And now with time ever extending, like lockdown, it's get extended every 10-15 days. Now people are uncertain that how long will it go, and the organizations and everybody has put kind of hold on taking up trainings, and also people are not spending much. And even if we are doing lots of calling, cold calling, everything we are doing it, but still kind of response from the market is not coming. And now I am spending more time on my system than I even do when I was in office, and still the outcome is not that good. And now no time for yourself, for family, and even
Okay, let me
office
make
is
sure
not
I understand. Sorry to interrupt. So you work for a company
Yes.
that pretty much asks you to do training for other company, correct?
Yes, other company also and individuals also. We
Okay.
do open house
And
kind.
like anybody in this business, welcome to the club. There is less demand for training and coaching. Trust me, I know the challenge.
Yes.
Now, if I understand correctly, your company, so are you, sorry to ask, are you paid as a salary, as an employee, or you pay as you do the job?
I do have fixed salary, but if we meet our target, we do have incentives.
Okay, that's nice. So what I'm trying to say is that everybody is going to a stretch. And
yes.
it's up to you to set the, again, part of what we're gonna to discuss is where do you put the boundary? Now, you cannot make up for the COVID problem. I mean, you cannot compensate for all of that, guys. I mean, nobody can. You know, restaurants are losing business, hotels are losing business, tourism is losing business. And if you try to make up for all of that loss, you're gonna be exhausted. My recommendation when it comes to working from home is have some strict boundaries. And, you know, your company can get upset. You're not gonna meet the target. I have news for you. You're not gonna meet the target.
Yes. That's not happening actually since last month.
But again, it's you know, I mean, we have to be honest with ourselves. It's like I look at myself, I'm never gonna be 20 again. I mean, that's gone. To be honest, I don't want to be 20 anymore. But you know, I would have liked to stop at 50. But 20 definitely not. So I'm just saying is that so the challenge is, and that's what I'm trying to say, make a list of how you spend your time and decide where you want to continue and where you want to put a limit. In my activities, I try not to do business after 8 o'clock at night. And I don't start officially before 9. I can get up earlier, but that's a different story. And usually I don't work on weekends. And I don't pick up the phone. I mean, I don't have that much. I'm just saying, of course, in a situation, you know, you have to kind of adjust. What I'm trying to say is that it's okay to have rules. I have a very good Jewish friend that years ago was becoming very, sorry, anybody, I don't know again, she was becoming very religious, even though she didn't grow up religious. And she's only working 7 days a week. And she says, Karin, stop. She doesn't do anything on Saturday. Now, even though I was born Christian, I don't exactly go to church, but I learned I never do anything on Sunday. I don't socialize on Sunday. I don't work on Sunday. It's my day. Now, like I said, if there is a visit, I know you come on Sunday, I'll be more than happy to see you. But what I'm trying to say is that I try not to set up anything on Sunday, so it's my day. And all of you who have heavy schedule, find the time. For some woman, I have a friend of mine, she's got 4 kids and she was keeping up with them. She get up at 6 in the morning and she has between 6 and 8 for her. Now, of course, if you get up at 6, you have to go to bed at 10. You know, I mean.
Yes.
So sometimes if you're a doctor, that might not be possible. I don't know. I don't know this. So you have to find what is your rhythm. I'm a morning person. Some people might be an evening person. Here I have also another good recommendation. It's okay to say no. You know,
Yeah, that
favorite American phrase? You have to write that down. Which part of no don't you understand? I love that phrase. Doesn't exist in French. It doesn't sound less, but one guy told me that story years ago in a workshop. No, which part of no don't you understand? End of the story. Now, before you say, no, I'm not cooking tonight, you better kind of prepare your family, okay? The idea is not to create a drama. But it's okay to say, guys, I've been doing this cooking for 7 days. I will appreciate if whatever day you pick, husband, kids, whatever, you do the job. I mean, but that's me. You know, again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. I'm just saying, like, it's okay to make somebody responsible instead of you. Now, how many of you, when one of your family members try to do something, cooking, cleaning, ironing, you say, leave it, I'll do it instead of you? How many of you will interrupt someone's attempt to do something and say, leave it, I'll do it instead of you? That's another recommendation. Let it do. Even if the kids mess up the kitchen, the husband burned the pan, unless you let them do it, they will never help you. They always do that, ma'am. Yes, okay, then maybe you want to do something different.
I do that for my mother only.
That's different. I don't know how old your mother is, but the question is, even older people, my father was definitely not well. He was getting blind at the end of his life, and trust me, he pretended that he could see something. You know, and he also pretended he could run. And he was telling me how much, because he used to play football as a young guy. And, you know, he used to tell me all about, I mean, I think even as older people, you need to let them try and fail. Because what happened when you stop somebody from doing something? Guys, are you all in business? I guess most of you are in business, right?
Most of you are working.
How many of you will stop a colleagues doing their job and say, don't do it, I'll do it instead of you?
I do it many times, yeah. I'm the one.
Okay, thank you for the honesty. And how helpful is that for you?
I feel in spite of telling them so many times and they're still not doing it and spending so much of time and again, I might as well do it and finish it off. Like, it's quicker, faster, and it's done.
It depends on the end goal. Now, if somebody's dying on the operation table, please fix me, okay? If you get someone, so if I'm the one you're going to operate on and but otherwise let people fail.
Yeah.
How are they going to learn? Especially kids. You know, I mean, I'm not going to say anything about your husband, but I'm guessing they're not that much better than the rest of the world. But who is responsible for the husband's shitty behavior? The way they're being raised. And, you know, ladies, like I said, I got the big excuse, I have no kids. But, you know, I've seen how all my friends are raising their kids. And it's like, unless you raise your son to be responsible and supportive, this is not going to work. So this is getting a bit too intense. Can we have another question, please, before I'm going to have everybody shoot me?
Okay.
Yeah, anybody would like to unmute and ask a question to Karin, please go ahead and do that. You can speak to her, you can talk to her.
You didn't
whatever.
write anything on the chat?
The Amita wrote on the chat, and Teji also said she's also having a similar story. So Teji, would you like to say something?
No, my story was different, not the same as Amita once. When Karin was talking about, you know, how many times you feel responsible for others. I think women feel more than required responsible for everybody on this earth, whether be it your, you know, mother, brothers, sisters. I do not know why do we, you know, why is that you feel so responsible? And over the period, you have realized that at times when you don't do it and put that expectation, it's okay. People fall in line. It's we who don't put that first step. Maybe you are brought up in India, maybe daughters are brought up that way, that you are responsible for everything. And it is so hardwired that we just feel we are responsible for all of it.
It's a very valid point. I don't think it's typical Indian. and it just depends how you express it. Now, like I said, I was guilty of that issue, and you know, I've been told that the challenge I have, which I'm sure never happens to you, is that my brothers and sisters, because I'm the oldest, were very supportive and said, stop being responsible. And every time I tried to not being responsible, they came back. So a relationship, as you know, goes both ways. People get used to have us to lean on. So the question is not to drop the ball overnight, okay? Because you don't go drastic. You just start by small thing. You know, when I came to the Czech Republic, I had a wonderful Czech teacher and typical woman. She was cleaning everything, dusting. She had nice little shelves with nice little thing, and she was dusting every day. I said, what? And then she was cooking every day. Now, you know, and then she was also cleaning every day. So I said, maybe you want to reorganize your schedule. So she adjusted. And one day she said, Karin, you'll be so proud of me. I said, what did I do? She had put the stickers on the fridge and said, dinner is in the fridge, help yourself. And for her, it was a big victory. So again, pick your battle, pick the area where you want to just give yourself an hour. I think that you can start small. Find an hour per day when you do something for you. Reading a book, being alone, and you put on the door, I mean, try to find a way that's not the bathroom, but if the bathroom is the only place, then go to the bathroom. And, you know, say, it's my time. You put the little sign, it's mommy's time, it's wife's time, it's daughter time, whatever it is. And at the beginning, it's going to be difficult. Nobody wants, you know, when you go from super active to nothing, you feel a bit like, what do I do with my time? So start small, start with 15 minutes, you know, and then learn to enjoy doing nothing or something that makes you happy. Painting, I love the painting, by the way. You know, I wish I could do that. So I don't know if you did this out of sheer boredom or out of sheer enthusiasm or whatever, but like you said, you can start with nothing. And sometimes the beginning is not what you expected.
True.
Absolutely.
So I think I'm feeling again like I'm talking a lot. Anybody would like to, because you know, it's about you feeling more happy.
Yeah, Archana, would you like to speak, Archana? Did you raise your hand to talk?
No,
Yeah, please.
nothing to speak as such, but Karen, they are very small things, but they're very important things. I totally relate to that. Thank you.
My pleasure. Listen, it doesn't have to be big. You know, the idea is not,
No.
it doesn't
Yeah.
have to rock the boat. You don't,
No.
the last thing, you know, I mean, it's interesting what Anu told me. One thing I've learned is the power of talking. Most people don't know what's happening in your head. And loving someone doesn't mean that you know how they feel, what they think, and what they need.
Oh, that's so profound.
Yes.
True.
Loving
Very
someone
true.
does not mean you know how they
Loving
feel.
someone is being there. But then if the person doesn't tell you, well, right now I would like to be alone, right now I would like this. So unless you speak up, unless you share with your husband, I don't know, I guess that right now everybody has a husband, not a boyfriend, because God forbid, do you have boyfriend in India that you can live with, or this is not acceptable?
Oh, it's starting to happen, yes.
Even when you're not 20, like you kind of reach a certain age, you can have a boyfriend, it's okay too?
Not so early yet in India. It
The
takes
reason I
little
mentioned
bit.
because I met this Czech lady a couple of days ago, and she told me that her own boyfriend were moving, and she was 55, and I guess it must be the same thing. And she had grown up kids, so I'm guessing this is not the first, the father of the kids. So I'm just saying, like, you know, certain culture has boyfriend, girlfriend, no matter what. Some people have husband, but I'm trying to say we have the illusion as women that, you know, we're going to fall in love, which is all nice at 20, 30, whatever. And then we're going to live happily ever after. And then one day we wake up and life is not so easy.
True.
Now, part of the question is, how often did you continue the communication? You know, I have a friend of mine who is married with a gentleman who's been married before 4 kids. She's 42, okay, so she's still very young. And the husband is 45. And, you know, they have their ups and downs. Right now it's a good time, but I realized they never talk about okay, let me ask you a question. What do you need to feel loved? And you don't have to tell me, but do you know what you need to feel loved?
I think I need to be appreciated if I need to be felt loved.
Okay. Now, there is 5 ways to show appreciation. Do you know about that?
No.
So what kind of appreciation are you looking for?
Just, you know, even when my partner does things for me, the small things, he'll make tea for me. I think even that's a kind of appreciation.
So you're the lady like me. When people help you, you feel loved.
Yeah.
Okay. How many of you are like that? Okay. Now, how many of you need to hear it? How wonderful you are, how grateful they are. Some people are more into the hearing part. They need to be talked to.
I think I like to hear it also. I'm
Just saying, but between
Yeah.
the two, you know, very few people will give you the full spectrum. So you have, and then how many of you like to receive gifts?
Oh, I love receiving gifts. But more than a gift, I would like receiving hugs, love,
Okay,
kissing.
so there is 5 ways. And by the way, I didn't invent it. The gentleman is called the 5 language of love that can, by the way, be applied at work. One of it is to tell you how much I love you. And I had a partner that actually Anu met. The guy was so auditory that he will tell me in any position, whatever he's doing, he will be kind of cleaning the dishes and, I love you, honey. And I'm thinking, yeah, this is so bloody romantic. So typical American, I will hear, I love you 24 hours a day, which kind of. Show me. Help me. You know, do something for me. That's how I know people love me. And I'm forever grateful. And I know he's one of them, people that help me. The talking is nice, but you know, it's like anyway. So the talking is one. The helping people is second. Spending time with somebody completely with no agenda or with some agenda, but just spending time with someone. How many of you will sit with a cup of coffee, cup of tea, or glass of wine, whatever you do, with a friend, well, I know lockdown, just to spend time with that person?
I would.
And how many of you do that with your partner?
All the time. And now I think COVID is a blessing. For first time in our life, we've eaten all the meals almost together and had both the cup of tea together morning and evening.
And for some couple, the COVID has been a blessing because finally they have time together.
Yes.
Now for some couple, it kind of exacerbates the issue. I'm not going to go there. what I'm saying is that very often, so when you start the romantic things, one of the things that people don't do, you know, I'm over 60, ladies. At this point of my life, I want a partner that I can sit with and talk to. And more important, that is interested in me. You know, my ex-American boyfriend was wonderful, but does he care about who I see and what I do? Not much, unless it's what he likes. By the way, we're still great friends. It's fantastic. But, you know, I'm watching him. I said, you wonder why women don't want to stay with you? You don't care about what they do. You know, the typical thing we said, what did I do today? I will share with Anu, I washed my windows last weekend. Yeah, once a year. It's done. Nobody cares but the friend. You know, so spending time, helping, giving gifts, and last is physical touch. So you need to define for you which one is the most important, but then you need to share it with whoever is important in your life. Now, you can also maybe kind of realize that maybe the guy is not a hugging type, but he will be there for you no matter what. Okay, so after that, you have to compromise a little bit. You cannot have it all the time.
True.
So one of the, actually, so I had this friend, I said, which one works? So I said, why don't you ask your husband and you guys talk? And she said, Karin, he hates him. He hates the question. I said, I'm going to see them on Sunday, so I don't know. What I'm saying is that it's an ongoing communication. Is it easy? No. Is it always comfortable? No. At the same time, if you don't do it, what are the consequences? You don't know, and then nothing happens.
So Karin, what do you do if you realize that your husband is not exclusively just with you? It could be that he is more vested in work, another woman. It could be that he's more interested in his sports, something else other than you. How do you then tackle with the story?
Well, again, I don't think it's that any man is only focused on his woman unless it's the beginning and they're really having their hormones on both sides kicking. Listen.
That comes out so beautifully, Karin.
It comes down to what?
Trust me, guys. That's why I said, Karin, you have
I said that comes out so beautifully from you that until unless it's actually the hormones from both the sides, I'm sure he's not invested in one woman for all the time. Beautiful.
Now, the other thing is, but that's me. I remember I'm French. We had a discussion actually with some Czech lady the other day. We used to live a short time, okay? We used to live until what, 30, 40 years old? By 40, a woman was old. By 50, the guy was a grandfather. So the time we spent together was definitely shorter. Plus, I don't think it was easier in India than it was in France. The woman did everything by hand, even if you get helpers. So we didn't have that much time. Now we want our kids to be perfect when they're 10, 15, 20. I don't know about you, but I'm sure one thing I know about India, you guys are so much into making sure your kids are going to be successful at school that they get all the support. So they have to be successful. They get to be self-insured. I mean, sorry guys, but it's stupid. It's stupid. You cannot expect a child to be, I have a friend of mine who's asking me to help his daughter that's 17 that doesn't have self-confidence. And I said, what else is new? I mean, you don't expect anybody to be self-confident at 17. I wasn't. I don't think any one of you were. But we're supposed to be perfect. And then we're supposed to meet the guy and have the perfect relationship and living happily ever after. I've never seen anything like that. Even, I'm going to use Michelle Obama and Barack again because I don't know if you read the book, but even her says how she chose and how she decided and how she went to therapy with her husband. I don't think they cheated on each other. I don't think he had time. Understanding the guy's schedule, I don't know where it would have fitted the relationship, but they did have their own issues.
I would like to add here, in India, it's not only happily ever after married with the guy, it's with the family. You have to be perfect for the family. You have to fit in the family. And then the guy comes.
I understand. And guess what? It used to be the same for in France. You know, Nanu knows, I don't know if you know anything about the Christian religion, but in Europe, there used to be Protestant and Catholic. The Orthodox, in some ways, were a bit kind of, outside of the core. And Catholic and Protestant, believe it or not, 100 years ago, we're still not liking each other. I belong to a pretty strong Protestant family. My mother, like I said, was born in 1930. And by the time she went through the war and everything else, she made the big mistake. Well, she managed to go to America with a scholarship, and she fell in love, God forbid, with a Catholic man. That's the first problem. The second, he was from Puerto Rico. See, I don't have to explain to you how not good that was when you happen to be a pretty nice, smart French woman from a pretty better family. And to make things even worse, she has a younger sister who fell in love with a Catholic guy, but at least he was from the right family, the right diploma, the right job, blah, blah, blah. So my mother couldn't marry a Puerto Rican boyfriend. But, they wanted her to marry a Protestant guy. So they ended up with the son of the dentist. So marry my father. And in every family I know from that generation, when you went to the in-law, you were never good enough. My mother came from La Provence, which is not Paris. So, at some point, even my own sister, who is only 60, she was one day telling my brother's wife that, of course, you don't let your daughter go to the subway. You're from La Provence. And I'm thinking, oh my God, we're going to have a fight again. You're always going to find someone who's going to say you're never good enough. Now, it's the same everywhere. It's up to you to say, well, guess what? Remember? Don't you come and mess with me. I'm good enough. I'm good enough to get in the bed with your husband and your son. I'm good enough to have his kids. I'm good enough to clean his house. So can you please give me a break? And I don't want to be rude, okay? But it's up to you. Do you feel good enough?
Yes, now I feel. I have started saying
Karin,
no.
Karin, what do you do to feel good enough? Because this is a problem that is running in my country. Definitely, and I'm sure it's not just in my country. It's not just about women. It's about not feeling good enough. It's an epidemic, a pandemic, I would say. If I look at all the nationalities, this is one of the most brewing problem across the world. How do you actually become good enough?
Okay, again, if I had the answer to this, I will definitely not, But here is what I've learned.
Okay.
First, you guys do what you've been doing, which I think is fantastic, which is a community. That's what you have, a community of friends. How many of you, now the challenge is, if all your girlfriends have the same problems, they're going to have a hard time to cheer you up. So you need to find friends like Anu had with me. She didn't talk to me for 10 years because, she reminded me what I said, but I know that at some point I was telling her thing that she's like, don't talk to me like this, I'm Indian, and you don't know any better. I know, I'm not blind. I'm not that evil. She's going to kind of destroy my whole little world, and I'm not going to do that. Get friends that are going to shake your world and tell you that things can be different. I didn't say better. I said different. And the other thing is on the husband issues, because I know it's a sensitive one. My sister and my sister is 60, I'm 62, so I should be 61. We've kind of seen a few things. Most guys will cheat. I don't know too many guys who don't cheat. Now, and if they don't cheat physically, they might cheat in the head, and for some women it's as bad. I don't know where the line is, but again, what is more important? For me, what's most important is the relationship and the acceptance. And I'm not saying this is right, okay? Don't get me wrong. I don't think you should, honey, have fun. I'm just saying is that there is always a context. But if you are, when you manage to get inside yourself and be strong enough to accept, I don't like the word strong enough, to love yourself enough. It's about loving yourself and having empathy for yourself. And then it's like, okay, what does it say about me? What does it say about my relationship? How do I feel about that? And what do I want? And what I know is that you have to make the decision that works for you, not for what people think. Because everybody, I have news for you, which everybody is going through the same thing. At one point in your life, you're going to go through the same thing. So the idea that, I know better and I'm better than you, yeah, well, if you do, you're lucky because I don't. So the first thing is having a community of good friends that can pretty much carry you when you feel that you're down. And remind you that you have all the resources to stand up. I think Bhavana said that about something like stand tall, right?
Yeah.
You say, get up, stand tall. I had to write down because my memory is not that good. But, get up, stand tall, and take responsibility. Did I quote you correctly? Okay. Now, I'm not going to say that if your husband goes out of, you're responsible for it. No. But you're responsible for how you handle it. Now, you have two choices. You can pretend it doesn't exist, and it may go away. No. I have someone close enough in my life, and it worked. They kind of both agreed that, okay, it happened, but we won't discuss it. And I'm not saying this is right. I'm just saying, like, in this case, it worked, as long as you don't fool yourself. And in that case, because they really reconnected and made the work to be a couple. But that's one example. I have another couple of friends, but that was older because they're my age. And they both took a break. They both had their own story. They went through ups and downs. And they're back together and whatever it is. So I'm just saying is that, but I'm more for being honest. Just because everything you pretend, I think it's eating you alive. So you can, whatever you do, say to yourself, okay, I know my husband is doing this, blah, blah, blah. You either confront or you pretend, but the guy needs to know that where you stand. So you can pretty much say, okay, I know something is happening. Guess what? It's your shit. Deal with your shit. And when you finish dealing with your shit, you come back and you tell me yes or no. That will be something that you could do. Vanna is laughing. Yeah, well, sometimes because guys, if we help them pretend it doesn't exist, then they think it doesn't exist.
So how do you know this is the right time to walk out or stay in? How do you know that this relationship isn't going to work? I'd rather walk out than spend any more time pretending or any more time doing any of that.
Okay, I don't have an answer for you. I'm just going to tell you what happened to me when I walked out of my relationship. That was not for cheating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
I mean, I know news. I met this guy and he had lots of, I'm going to tell you my life. But anyway, I met this guy that had a lot of quality, honest, hardworking, Protestant. That was a bonus, but that was not a requirement. And he wanted to come to Prague and everybody liked him and he had a dog. And I fell in love with the dog. But at the same time, he had strong emotional issues and I knew tried to help him. That's another long story. And it really was a challenge. And at some point, to his credit, I helped him find a therapist and I figured like, yes, now that, he's going to do the work. And to his credit, he did work so hard on himself that he really, and I figured by the time he's going to get back on his feet and by the time he's going to be over his whatever depression things, then we're going to finally start to be having a communication. Well, something happened that, it happens also often. And to my credit, I carried the guy, but I did it for my own reason. My mother died of depression. That was kind of things. I was not going to let down a guy who was depressed. I was determined to stand by him as long as he needed to stand by on his own. Nobody asked me to do that. And he did appreciate, but But then when he got better, he became a real jerk. A really And it turned out that at that time, my brother, the same one, and my sister came to Prague. It was June 2014. And the guy named Casey was, again, a jerk. And then at some point, I'm sitting with my brothers by the river, and who knows the place. And my brother asked me, he said, does he make you happy? And you know what I answered? I said, I don't expect anybody to make me happy. But then, so Casey behaved like things. And then we really had a situation when he went for stupid things, actually. Behaved like a jerk. And I spent the night, we were outside of Prague, actually, went with some friends biking and walking. And then during the whole night, I'm like, okay, what the hell do I do? And then I said, I don't expect him to make me happy, but I'm not happy with him. And I knew that was the time to say stop. So I came back to Prague, took him out of the apartment. I said, 2 things are going to happen because we were supposed to go on vacation. And I rehearsed this, trust me. I said, 2 things are going to happen. We're not going on vacation to Austria together, and you're moving out of the flat. But that's me. But that's me. Me, I was over 50. I had gone through other different things. And, you know, between having learned this and having learned that, and being financially independent. Now, I'm going to come back to my father, who has a lot of issues, but one thing he did right. So teach your kids to make their beds and teach your girls to be financially independent no matter what.
Very true. Couldn't agree more, yes.
I don't know when is the right time. You need to know.
Wow.
The way I did it, but that's also, it's like I told him, I said, I don't know if this is going to work. I'll do my best. And when I felt that I've done my best and it was going nowhere, I said, it's time to pull the plug. But that's me. I don't have kids with him. I also understand that when you're a mother with kids, it's a lot more challenging. I had friends who were cheating on their husband. In this case, it was the woman. So I want to divorce. I said, don't you dare leave your husband with 2 kids. You know, but that was a different situation. So you cannot say this is right or wrong. You have to look at the pictures. Did I answer your question? Not really. Huh?
Yes, you did. And it was brilliantly answered. And it takes the pressure off on many, many people when they know that there is nothing wrong or right. It's the shoe that has to fit you. It's the size that fits you. And it's the way you want to walk your life. Any other questions, guys? Do you have any other questions?
There's plenty of message on the chat. Is there a question or just people commenting? I didn't look at this.
No, they're not questions. There are people they are just comments and no questions on the chat.
Okay.
There's one question that's peeping in my head, and maybe if they don't have any questions, we could end with that. What, according to you, is adjustment? Because I hear this all the time, that maybe the adjustment that you did isn't enough. Maybe, or this is something probably I tell myself, that maybe I didn't do that. Maybe I didn't do that much enough. So what's really adjustment and what's enough? Like you said before also, when do you know it's enough?
Well, again, part of the situation is how do you relate to people, okay? Because I live in a different culture, I've learned to look at the different people I meet and try to find a way to adjust to the situation. The Czech Republic, you take your shoes off when you go to somebody's house, okay? Now, in France, you will never dare to take your shoes off. People will think that you're rude. So it's more about understanding what's important for you and how far you're willing to stretch your own values in some ways or principle, and understanding what's important for the other person and meeting them halfway. So adjusting for me, just being aware, we go back to what do you need and what do you want? And kind of, you know, like I like to eat early. At 9 o'clock dinner like the French do doesn't work for me. Having said that, once in a while, if I go to somebody's house and I know that dinner will be at 8:30, I just adjust to the situation. So it's more about the other 2 questions I usually ask is who are you and what do you want? So when you interact with someone, you need to ask yourself, what do I want at the end of the day? So the challenge with the in-laws, you know, do you want them to like you? Do you want them to accept, to be happy that everything is smooth? I don't expect people to like me. I don't care. I really don't care. You know, if they like me, it's a bonus. I always say, if I offend you, please tell me and I'll stop. But you need to tell me what I do to offend you. But if you don't like what I look like, what I do, what I think, your problem. I got nothing to do with me. So for those of you who have in-law that, you know, criticize you, most of the time people criticize out of fear and self-doubt. You know that, right? So you look at them, I will look at people like this and I feel sorry for them. I have empathy. It's like, oh my, you must be in a lot of pain if you kind of need to kind of look at how I look and how I behave in order to be. What do you care? Who cares? So adjusting is more with an objective in mind and then knowing how far you want to dance with the other person. And the other thing also, you know, especially if you have in-law problem, I will talk to the husband. I said, okay, honey, as you know, your mother treats me like a bitch. You know that, we know that. And so it will be nice if you will just maybe tell her to control herself. Otherwise, you will have a bit of a surprise. My sister has a mother-in-law that is not exactly a bitch, but she's a selfish narcissistic. And she's a spoiled kid. And my sister has been trying everything, and I realize, you know, and it's like, and then she started to talk back. Oh my God. But, you know, after 25 years of marriage, the woman is nice. She's just me. So I don't know anybody who has an easy time with the in-law. You know, my sister-in-law on my brother's side, she will tell you she never had a mother-in-law because my mother was not there, but she had two sister-in-law. And trust me, that was not easy either. So no matter which family you go to, you're never going to please everyone. Never. Just, that's okay. As long as you don't, you know, behave in a way that is really rude, breathe. You make the guy happy, you make the kids happy. Hopefully the food is okay. Breathe.
Yeah. We're meeting almost after 10 years, Karin, and having this amazing chat today. This was my wish that I could meet you and connect with you and tell you what you mean to me. If there was one wish that you have in your heart before, like, you know, like saying, what would that wish be that's really important for you to kind of create even now at this stage in your life?
Sorry, what the wish for me or for people?
Maybe for people, maybe for you. Is there anything that's still left?
What I'm learning, like I said, you know, 62, so I don't know if I'll die tomorrow, if I die in 30 years, but sometimes I look back and I say, boy, it took me so long. So I think one of my wishes is that for many women, it doesn't take so long to learn some simple, I don't like the word through, but to learn that we're pushing too much. I fought my whole life. I fought for many things, you know, but I fought with a smile. I fought with energy. Some people hated, I don't think people hated me. They just find me too much. But I feel like I've been struggling and fighting and struggling. I think it will be useful to kind of, you know, if I look back at my younger self, said it doesn't have to be that hard. It doesn't need that much fighting. And for this, it's, again, going back to you and thinking, take a deep breath. Nothing needs to be solved today. Unless you're doctors and you need to save somebody's life, yes, you better do it fast. The kitchen can wait. You know, I haven't cleaned my house in a week. And I'm like, you know what, it's going to be okay. Which is before, it's like everything has to be clean. No, it's okay, it can wait. You know, it's still okay because I don't put the shoes in the house, but, you know, it could definitely use a bit of vacuum. It's okay. You know, trying to be perfect, as long as it makes you happy, as long as what you do really kind of nourish your own soul. So what I'm learning late is about more peace. I know it for many years, it's like, what the hell is that? Just this inner peace that it's okay. So I think what will be nice is for every woman around, you know, at least a small community, to just get a community to say, it's okay, what you've done today, it's enough. You know, Amita, if your company wants you to push numbers, guess what? It's not going to work. Nobody's going to buy it. Nobody. Now, what you can do at the same time, and this is also something that I've been doing, is like, what can you think that could be needed at that time? You know, what I know is doing is amazing. You know, she used the platform. So create something else that doesn't take too much time, but just help people connect and feel supported. So I think the fact that we are all in, that's what I like the new technology. There's many things I don't like about technology, but the fact that we can connect that easily, I think is a gift. You know, we can look at Bhavana's painting. I don't know, do you sell those? I mean, I'm kind of really worried about asking, do you sell those and can I have one? Because I'm like, no, I don't need to do that at the moment. But I look at your webpage and I never know. But you know, it's like I never thought I would look at this. You're in Singapore, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Singapore.
So I knew you were in Bombay.
Yes.
Everybody else is in Bombay?
No. Ranjini is in Singapore.
I'm in Delhi.
Yeah, there are few people from Delhi, few people from Haryana. They are from all parts of India. Yeah.
When I moved to New York City, the phone was so expensive. We used to write letters. I know some people look at me like, are you that old? I say, yeah. And company had telex. When I was born, my parents sent a telegram. Remember, I was born on the other side of the world for the French. So they had to, you know, they couldn't pick up the phone. They sent a telegram. So I think these tools allow us to really connect. And for me, this is one of the biggest learning from these COVID things, the importance of a community. So my wish for you will be to continue cultivating the community, even after the COVID, just maybe not every night because you need a break. I mean, you know, I will go for something easier on everybody, like once a week. And then I will have other people pick it up. So here's what I'm thinking about. You know, Bhavana, if you want a circle of artist friends, you said, you know, Wednesday evening, it's my circle of artist friends, we speak about art. And then if, you know, Anita, you want to talk about training, you said Thursday, you know, pick a theme. I mean, I'm really honored, but in some ways I feel it's a heavy topic after such a nice light topic. So I will just, and make it a bit shorter so people, because, you know, now we started at 27, now it's day 13. So I'm thinking, oh, people are fed up. So maybe it's about, you know, having more like a bit of a organized, but that's me being Protestant Swiss, you know, like a timing and say, we start at this, we finish at this, and we speak about art, and we speak about kids, and we speak about, because you have so much to share. You know, I'm honored to share my story. At the same time, the big advantage I have is that I'm not afraid of saying things. I guess you can learn to do that, because I guarantee that whatever I said, you guys think. I didn't tell you anything you don't know, right?
You know, Karin, completely agree with you. Whatever you said is actually what each one of us think. And I love the way that you said that you need to let go a bit. And at the same time, you need to know what you can hold on and what are your limits. And, but sometimes, you know, even though all this goes on in the mind, you just need somebody to tell you this, to believe that what you're thinking is right, or you're just trailing away in thoughts. So really, really grateful and thankful to you for speaking. Yeah, it was really nice.
Thank you. I mean, like I said, it's an honor for me, and I felt like I was telling Anu, I said, what do you want to know from me? I mean, you guys, I have, you know, different things. I believe we are a lot more, and I don't like the word powerful, so we'll use the word resourceful. And I'm just going to finish with what Anu said when she got started. You know, when she talked to me, she was afraid of speaking up. She was afraid of that speaking up was going to have horrible consequences. So I can just say that your example, Anu, should be really inspiration for everybody. The world didn't collapse, and you had a much better reaction that you felt. So anything that you seem like, oh my God, I'm going to talk to so-and-so, talk. Said, whoever you talk to, this is how I feel, this is what happened. And you just let the person react and let them be responsible for their reaction. No matter how painful it is, how difficult it is, no matter how stupid your husband, boyfriend, kids is, talk to them. And tell them your behavior is hurting me. Now you said you do whatever you want with it, whatever it is, so, but speak up. I think this is one thing that I'm learning more and more. It's freeing yourself.
It definitely is, because had you not said those things, I would have kept them inside my heart, believing that he would really throw me out. And that would have been a burden every day.
But even if he did, Even if he did, so what?
Yes. And that I know today.
Because that's the other thing. Do you want to stay with someone because you're afraid of what they're going to do? Or you want to stay with someone because they accept you the way you are? If they're going to throw you out, I mean, unless you have no money, okay? So that's another story. But if you have either a friend to help you or money in the bank, it's okay.
I'll quote here, my driver said this to me 4 years back. He earns very little from me because that's how little the drivers earn in India. And I was sitting down and he said to me, Madam, with what you give me, when my father insulted me, I picked up my wife and my kids and walked out of the house with them. And the Allah, the God, took care of me. Today I have everything in my house that you can expect a man to have for his wife and children. You are educated. Why are you so scared of taking any steps? It's not about money, Karin.
Sometimes it is. I'm just saying for some women it is. Now, here's one question that I managed to see.
Yes. There are two of them. One is by Sana and one is by Shamla. I was just waiting for Anu to finish. Sana wants to know how do you deal with people who don't value my love?
Okay. I in some ways I want to say, I said it before, but I will say it again. It's like being nice. Loving, it's for loving itself. If you expect people to value your love, you're on the wrong track. When you love, okay, how many of you have cats? Maybe you have cats?
No.
Okay, you have dogs? Well, you know the difference between a cat who loves you and a dog who loves you? A dog will love you no matter what because you feed him. A cat, you know, they will love you whenever they feel like it. I mean, this is the thing. I don't love my cat so she can love me back. I don't love Anu because she can love me back. To be honest, she disappeared for 10 years and I'm thinking, okay. So love should, and again, it depends what you're expecting, but for me, loving people should come out of you in kind of, like an instinct. You either love or you don't. Now, when you try to get it back, and actually as a woman, I don't know who is the lady who asked that? Where is she? What's her name?
Yeah, Sana. Sana, can we have your video on, please, Sana?
If you want to. If you don't want to, we can do it. But I mean, it would be easier for me to face. I guess she doesn't want to.
Okay.
The challenge is, and this is something I've learned, we women, that's an energy issue, okay? Yin and yang. We have a tendency to like fusion when we love men. And they need freedom. So the more we try to ask them to love us and get into the fusion, the more we suffocate them. So you need to let the man free in order for him to love you back.
Wow.
Absolutely, ma'am. It was in terms of husband also, in terms of many friends whom I give a lot of love, but not that I expect a lot from them, but I just expect the love from them. That's all.
Again, I don't know your story. All I know is that a relationship should be either you like someone and you tell them, I like you, I want to spend time with you, and then you have the reciprocity. But trying to love people or to make them like you, it's a waste of time. Find some people that like you naturally, or at least let them come to you. Like I said, not everybody likes me. Not everybody wants to be with me. I'm a pain in the neck. I get up early. I go to bed early. I don't eat dinner. Anu knows, my oldest friend. Boy, she finds me so annoying. We have a hard time to spend time. We still talk, and now I have a son in Prague to that. But I know that I know her because we are different, and it's okay. I love her, she loves me, but we don't spend time together because we annoy each other. Now, there was another question regarding respect, right?
Yes. What if you said that we should
Okay,
speak
hold on. So
up?
I have cats. Shyamala, how do you relate to your cats? Is she still there or she's gone?
Shamla, please, could you
Yeah. So yeah, I like relate as in yeah, they come to me. I also love them. It's only when they want love they'll come to me. But then whenever I want to love, I go to them and I love them. Yeah.
I understand. I can feel there is a little bit of need there. You might want to nourish yourself first before you. People cannot feed you. You have to feed yourself. Expecting people to, again, I'm going to speak here. You know, the more insecure we feel about ourselves, the more we want people to make us feel secure. Love yourself. Accept yourself first. Give yourself kindness and compassion, and then it's going to be a lot easier. And then you're going to attract, because that's the beautiful thing about animals. Animal will come to you when you just are centered energetically. Do you do any physical activity?
Yes, I do some exercises. I do workout. Yes.
Do you do any meditation and yoga?
Yes, I do meditation. I do yoga.
Okay, so when you do your meditation, do your cat come to you?
Yes, many times when I do card reading or something, yes, the cats come to me. They walk on the cards. They be around me. Yes.
Because you have no expectation. The more you have expectation, the less they're going to come to you. Love shouldn't be about expectation.
Yeah.
Unless it's about you. And again, I'm just saying is that, you know, for me, what I've learned is that loving people, listen, I didn't have enough love. My mother was gone, my family, and then I was trying to cling to everybody around me until they're like, leave me alone. My brothers, my sisters, you know, we are trying to kind of stick, and now let them free. They will come back. The more you try to hold them, the less they want to be there. I don't want to be with people that want to kick me in. Breathe, and then kind of do whatever works for you, but it's about centering yourself and loving, accepting, being at peace, whatever works for you.
Yeah. Right. Right. One more question I had. When you said that, yeah, whatever that, does not please you, you tell the person. And what if you tell the person and the person does not understand and, that makes you lose your respect, or maybe it's like like the situation or the environment gets a little worse. What do we do?
Okay, hold on. I need to understand. So you expect, I'm going to use Anu as an example. So I tell Anu, I used to not eat, forget that one. The friend I was mentioning, you know, I didn't eat meat. So she didn't like my idea of not eating meat. She was and I have forgotten. So she kept on serving meat in the dinner. And obviously I stopped having dinner at the house until one day she says, you can come back for dinner and make fish. You need to show the consequences. So if someone doesn't respect and understand, I don't eat meat, I drink tea, whatever it is, then you just stop interacting with them.
And what if the person is very close to you? You cannot avoid interacting with that person.
Yes, you can tell until you're going to kind of hear me and acknowledge my expectation, I disengage. Years ago, I was working for this French guy in Prague, and he did everything he wanted. Everybody was doing everything they wanted, and I was the older one again. That was even though 25 years ago. And one day I came to the office at 7 o'clock, I always did, with the money because we were retail store, so I collect the money at night. And I saw that people were just out, and I said, okay, I have to do something. So I counted money, gave it to the assistant, and I said, tell your boss that since everybody does what they want, I'm out of here. And I just left. Oh, if I would have dropped a bomb in the middle of the office, you think I got the boss attention?
Yes, you did.
And actually, I would have gone the whole weekend, but I was kind of teaming up with a French girl who needed to get on the bus to go to France. At that time, she took the bus. And I was supposed to cover for her. So I called her. She said, Karin, if you don't come back, I cannot go. Responsible, I came back. But the boss had lunch with me the next day, and we talked, finally. Do something drastic. I don't know. I mean, I don't know the situation, but unless, I'm sorry to say, your husband is physically abusing you, there is nothing that can say, honey, until you start to appreciate what I do, you make your own food. That's what I would do. When I have a problem, what's wrong with that?
No, it's just that an Indian lady probably has never done that. That's why I'm laughing. It's so new. It's so
shocking.
fresh. It's so
You will do.
right.
Son-in-law will come and
Karen,
cook
it's
for you.
easier said than, I mean, it's easier said than done. Easier said than done.
Try. What do you get to lose? First, you have a nice talk. Okay, you don't judge that. And you said, obviously, we're having a business committee. So who is the lady who wanted to talk about respect?
Shamla.
It was me.
No, there was another one that wanted to talk about what you do if you, so it's you. There was two.
It's me.
Two questions were you. Two questions were you.
Yes.
Okay. The question is, how much do you respect yourself?
Well, yes, this is what I think. Yeah. I feel that, yes, I got it.
I mean, but again, this is the challenge. Don't confuse respect, love, and self-worth. Love got nothing to do with that. Got nothing to do with that. It's about basic things. What's important for you and what are you prepared to stand for? Ramana said, what stand up for? You need to stand tall for something. So what do you stand tall for? And yeah, guys, if your husband doesn't appreciate you or your kids, I mean, I don't think it's just the husband or the mother-in-law or whoever it is. You say, guys, until you start to really, but you need to do it for yourself. Now, I don't say, to kind of, I had an Austrian stepmother, God bless her heart, she's still very nice. And, she wanted to be appreciated for cooking. So every time she cooks, we have to tell her how wonderful she is. All the time, because she needs to be self-insured 24 hours a day. Now, there's a difference between sitting with whoever you spend time with and said, I think we need to kind of establish what is important for me and for you. I'm happy to cook for you, provided you appreciate it. It's not a given. And I do the cooking, you do the cleaning. If I talk about my American boyfriend, he was very good. We shared all the daily chores. It was never a pain. There's no way I was going to do everything. But again, you have to do according to what works for you. So is it the cooking? Is it the cleaning? Is it the bed? Is it the laundry? I don't know. Me, I will take the laundry and I will put it on the kid's bed and I said, your turn. Now you better teach them how to use the machine before so they don't kind of mix everything, okay? But I have a friend, by the time she was raising two daughters, she said she got so fed up cleaning that she let them do their own laundry. So you can also say that. You can, depending how big it is, you can say, you do your own laundry, I do mine. And same with the husband. I mean, but again, you have to find what works for you.
Yeah, right. Yep.
Don't take my word for it because, it's like I say, it's a bit easier considering my situation. But I've learned, I watch everybody. I have a sister-in-law, the one who is married to my 56 years old brother. I don't know how she manages, but she doesn't get bogged down by any details. The house is a mess. She cooks very nicely, but my brother does a lot. And, I watch all of that and I'm thinking, oh, she'd rather go play tennis. She'd rather go to the theater. She doesn't get bogged down by the house chores. Okay. It works. And my brother, once in a while, he will say, you don't touch this, you don't touch that. But otherwise, he's learned to adjust. He works 20 hours a day. So what is he going to do? Fight his wife for not cleaning the house? No. They have someone to help, but it's not the same. I go to the house and I'm like, oh my God. It still hasn't changed. They kind of renovate the house and they have what they call the Russian lamps, which is no lampshade. The whole house is like this 10 days later, 10 years later. She doesn't care. I have to tell her credit. She'd rather go play tennis and read a book than doing the cleaning.
Wow.
She's a great wife. She puts up with my brother's, working 20 hours a day. And she's a very nice mother. What else is important? So find out okay, I'm going to ask you one last question. Let's forbid you disappear tomorrow. What do you want people to remember you about for?
Um, um, I don't know. Um, maybe the help, the service for the family, taking care of the children, basically taking care of the children, bringing them up to a level where they are successful.
Okay, do you think this is what your children want?
Yes.
Did you ask them?
Yes, they are very thankful to me because I brought them up that way and they are successful. Yes.
But what do they want to remember you by?
Whatever that I inculcated in them, the principles, the way of living, and everything, whatever they are today.
Okay. Now, again, you're welcome to answer, you're welcome to know, but I'm thinking that's one thing I've learned. You know, I used to be very responsible and very thing, and I realized, no, I don't need, nobody's going to remember me because I'm organized and taking care of everybody. I want people to remember that I love them.
Ah, right.
That's me. And that I was a loving human being. And, you know, I did all of that, maybe not as much because I think, but, and I actually discussed with another friend who is my age. And I realized, you know, by being just perfect, like my aunts and things, nobody likes that. What do you want people to like you for? My sister
yeah,
was a bitch once in a while. She's learning. I said, be light, be friendly. Nobody cares about you being perfect and being right. I've been right most of my life, so who cares? But that's me.
So,
just remember, what do you want people to remind you of or remember you of, and just be that person.
yeah. So behind that gratitude that they show, there is love in that. Yeah.
Just saying, think about at the end of the day, are you gonna on your, and again, God forbid, on your deathbed, they said nobody's gonna, you know, wish they spend more time at the office. But besides that, I think, what do you want to think of when it's gonna be the end?
Absolutely.
What regret will you have? That's another way to look at your life and say, what do I want to do now? Somebody's
Yes.
talking, Sana, yeah. So again, I don't want to be, you know, putting everybody down, but remember, what do you want? I know Anu is kind of saving the world, but is it really what you want to do, Anu?
No, I'm not saving the world. I'm saving myself.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay.
Anyway, I think we need to wrap up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
what I
Thank you.
would like to be remembered by is the hugs that I give people and I receive from people.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Can I
That's
give
one
you
of
one?
the reasons.
Can I give you one?
Thank
Can I
you.
give
Thank
you
you.
one?
That's one of the reasons I began with my work, because kids had left home and everybody who came in my space would come and give me hugs, and it would remind me of connecting back with my kids. So it was beautiful. And then I made so many children, grandchildren, and everybody after that. Like, I've created a community out of those hugs. Yeah.
So can we close with everybody giving a big hug to each other's? Come on, ladies. Hug yourself, hug each other's. You know, thank yourself for everything you've been doing these past few months, few years, whatever it is, and continue loving and hugging each other's. And I think you're all going to be fine.
Thank you so much, Karin. It's wonderful.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Karin. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bhavna, thank
Ladies,
you,
thank you.
everybody.
Thank you, Karin. Thank you,
Bhavna.
Anu.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye
Thank
bye.
you, Bhavna. You
Bye.
are a beautiful
all.
creator.
Love you all. Love you all.
Keep up the good
Thanks.
work.
I just leave now. This is going to be rude.
No, it's fine.
No, it's absolutely
fine.
fine.
It's fine.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
Bye. Thank you. Bye. Good night.
Bye. Good night. Good night, guys. So,